This episode is ad-free on the Patreon. So if you want to partake in that, you can head on over to patreon.com/reality tea times two. Welcome to Reality Tea Times 2, the podcast where we discuss all the trash reality TV we love to hate. I'm Tanika, and today we're going to be discussing Love is Blind, After the Altar, episode 14, as well as the Ultimatum, episodes 1 and 2. So that's what we're going to be talking about. So we will do Love is Blind ATA first and go from there. Okay, so episode 14. So Damola, he has now joined the chat. He's here. Let's do this. But before we get into the whole Damola of it all, Jed and Barda are talking to each other. And she says, she's upset that he was liking negative comments about her, as she's mentioned in the previous episodes. He says, what did I just say? He says he felt she was doing the same. Like, you're complaining that he's liking negative comments about you, but ultimately he feels that you were doing the exact same thing to him, pot me kettle type situation. Whether or not that's true, who knows? I think it's possible that she could have done it in retaliation to him doing it. Um, he says he fell for her in the pods and beyond that. And she says that she cares for him. And she explains that she went through it, with, post Love is Blind, she went through it. And um, this is a hard conversation, but she mentions to him that she had found a lump in her breast. And I think she might have said it was actually in the armpit, but she was being told that it was potentially cancer. And all of this was going on during the online hate that she was experiencing. And she did get the all clear, so everything is fine. And he says that I didn't expect you to tell me this, but I am sorry that you went through this. And you can tell, like, at the end of the day, what is good about them, what's even good about Jimmy and Ashleigh is, did I say Jimmy? Billy. God. Billy and Ashleigh is that they you can tell they genuinely care about each other and that they do not want to hurt the other. Um, and I think it could be that way with Sarova. However, because Cal's a raging dick, it will never happen. But this is what I love to see. Like, even you can tell, like, the love he felt for her is still there in a way where he is always going to want the best for her no matter what. Like, I wouldn't say he's in love with her at this point, but he will be there for her if that's what she needs from him. And, having this conversation, I think, was good for the both of them. And she realizes now that she doesn't need to be hyper independent, which was, I think was the major reason that she did not go through with this marriage with him, because she talked about that, her independence, and she didn't want to lose that. And having to be, a wife or traditional wife in the sense that maybe he was kind of expecting or wanting from her, not in a toxic way, but like and I think that was a main motivator for her to not marry him. So for her to realize, it is okay to rely on somebody else, not necessarily lose your independence, but it's okay to rely on another person. Just a little too late, I think. I honestly, I wish if she got out of her own way, they would have been great. They really would have. That's what I think. But anyways, um, we then head back to London, and Jasmine is in labor. She's loving the gas girlfriend. Yes, I've had the gas, not in this situation, obviously. Um, it's memorable. I mean, I was what, 12 when I had to when I did that, when I had to get my teeth pulled or one tooth pulled, and it was phenomenal. I was 12. I am now a 35-year-old woman and I remember the feeling. Oof, boy. Anyways, but she had to go for an emergency C-section because his heart rate was low. But he's here and he's precious, y'all. He really is. Um, so Barda goes to Cal. She's confused. You know? Sarova, she deserves an explanation, you fuck. A conversation. But of course, he's defensive because he is who he is. It's clear that he doesn't think he owes her anything. Y'all, he sucks. Like, I hate this fucker. Sarova is talking to Damola and he says, I never leave things up in the air, which is basically him trying to say, like, there should be no confusion when it comes to me and Katisha. And he says that he just can't get past the Javon stuff, which is totally understandable. At the end of the day, things could have gone very differently for Katisha if she chose Damola. And now trying to make that work, he's always going to remember you chose that guy over me. You chose that fucking guy over me. And that's kind of hard. I mean, I know they're friends, but deep down that guy must know this guy is a goddamn loser. He doesn't give a shit about anybody else but himself, and you picked him over me. Like, it's you don't get past that. But the question now is, did you actually tell her that explicitly? I don't know if he did, but let's continue. So they go for a talk to Damola and Katisha, and she says, I felt safe with you, and then you dipped. Bitch, you picked Javon, though. You felt so safe with him, and I feel like this is shit she said on the pods too, but you still picked Javon, what the fuck his name is. You still picked him. So what? And then you're mad because he quote unquote dipped? Bitch, you picked a next. Okay. Now I know that this is obviously after the fact, but you can't get. I mean, I'm not saying it's right for him to dip and not explain himself, but I find it, like I said before in the last episode, I find it hard to believe that he didn't tell her. I just do. Anyways, he apologizes because he never wanted to hurt her, but he also explains he couldn't get past things, which is why he wanted the pause to let the dust settle and go from there. He wanted to basically get past the Javon stuff and how that turned out for him. Totally get it. And then we didn't come back together afterwards, which is like, well, then whose fault is that though? Is it Katisha's fault? Is it your fault? Is it both your faults? Why didn't it get to that point? And he says, I could have handled that better. And maybe. Good for you. Anyways, that's them. Okay, y'all, let's take a deep breath. And then breathe out. Because now we're going to get to one of the worst conversations in history. And that's a conversation between Cal and Sarova. Because this fucking jackass, okay, says, you were rude yesterday. The fuck you say? Oh, 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 you want to fight? Bitch, I will fight you because you're not going to come for Sarova like that. You're just not doing it. I'm going to fight you. I'm going to put your dukes up. Because what? She doesn't owe you anything. You dipped out of your marriage after 3 months. You gave no explanation for it. You lied to her and to the rest of us, saying that, well, if I can't make it work with her, then I can't make it work with anybody. And then you hard launch a relationship without discussing it with your wife. Like, get out of here. But she was rude to you yesterday. You tried to touch her without her consent. Okay, so what I love about Sorrow in this moment, though, because she's different than I am, she's like, oh, hi, how was your day? None of that's going to happen. And she says, did you take my feelings into consideration? You hugged me without considering me. Mic drop. It's true. This is not about her when you're trying to go over there and hug her. Bitch, if you don't get the hell off of me. You know what I mean? And it's like, it's not a big deal. But it is a big deal. So not only are you not considering her feelings at that moment of whether or not she wants to be touched by you, you're also then going to invalidate her feelings in this moment when she says, "I didn't want to be touched by you. I'm mad that you touched me, and I'm expressing that I was mad that you touched me without my consent. So now you're going to invalidate me. Cool beans." And she's like, "You could have had a conversation with me out of courtesy, when it comes to her launching this relationship that he's now in." And he, of course, did not. We're going to see a huge difference between Cal and how he operates and Billy and how he operates. And he says, "I didn't want to do that when it comes to my private relationship." What the fuck are you talking about? Listen to me, sir. You don't have to say who it is. You don't need to say how it happened. You don't need to say shit about shit. All you have to literally say to the woman you are still technically legally married to and say, "Hey, I just want you to know before other people find out that I am in a relationship. And I just want to give you that courtesy that I'm in a relationship, point blank, period." And for you to sit here and say some bullshit about how you didn't want to talk about the fact you're in your private fucking relationship, and sir, why did you hard launch it on Instagram? You pressed an incorrect key, try again. So she makes it about his comments at the tell-all, which I think that is by means not the point. Clearly, he's bullshitting. It's how it is. You're bullshitting. He needs to revamp his image because here's a person who understands, "I was liked in the pods. I was liked during my relationship. I married the girl that everyone likes on the show. And then now seeing how things turn out. And now I'm going to be the most hated person on the show, especially for how this turned out." You're trying to revamp your image. The fact that he said what he said about if he can make it work with her, and he can't make it work with anybody else is a bullshit publicity comment. That is it. He didn't mean it. So that's besides the point. The point, as I just made just before, was but you hard launched your relationship on an online platform where people are clearly going to know who you are. They're following you. We know what show you're from. You're from one of the biggest iterations on Netflix, sir. So that doesn't make any goddamn sense. That's the point that I think she should have made, but that is just me. But he just wants to be kept in the loop with the divorce. This is all kind of he cares about, which is fair enough. He has a right to care about that, but don't insult my intelligence, please. Um, but yeah, I wrote, this is what I wrote. "Well, ain't that some shit? Like, he fucking sucks ass. Can't stand him." Those are my closing thoughts on Cal. It was nice not knowing you. Then we got the conversation with Ashleigh and Billy, and this is what I mean the differences between Cal's conversation with Sarova and Billy's conversation with Ashleigh. The convo is completely amicable. He wishes her the best, as does she, and he takes this opportunity to tell her, hey, he has been on dates with a particular person, and this is the difference between the two. He actually cares about her feelings. He cares about how this is going to come across to her. You can tell he was nervous to have this conversation with her because he just didn't want to hurt her. That is a man who, at the end of the day, yeah, your marriage didn't work and that's okay. This is a crazy experiment. There's no guarantee that this is going to work. But at the end of the day, he still is going to validate the fact that they were in a relationship. They did love and care for each other. They were married, still are married legally. And he is going to be gentle with how he approaches this subject with her. And I think that is beautiful. Um, but she does say, which is also beautiful in its own right, "You know what? It's okay. We weren't meant to be, and we did have a great time, but now we can move forward." I love the two of them, seriously. I loved them together to an extent. There were some red flags with Billy, but it's okay. But I also love them separately. I was a little unsure about Billy being friends with Cal because how the hell? But I think he really is separate from Cal, is a good person. You need to choose your friends, but differently, sir. But otherwise, you're fine. Back in London, we find out that Jasmine and Bobby have named their son Marley. That's a very cute name. Now, here's the end. We're at the end here. I just want to put my 2 cents in here. We didn't have an After the Altar for the first season. Fair enough. But, and again, Jasmine and, oh, what's his name again? Bobby, they're fine. But I didn't care. Can I tell you? Because the thing is like that season is dead and gone. It's whatever. And I rarely remember people, you know? It is what it is. Like I had to remind myself who Sabrina and Steven is and how much that broke my heart. But anyways, it was nice seeing their faces, but having this story kind of like go through and watch, I didn't care because I didn't care. It's fine, but I didn't care. I really, if they were going to do an After the Altar for season one, then do an After the Altar for season one, leave it there. And then do the After the Altar for season two and have follow those people. Done. You want to do a little baby announcement at the end saying, they welcome their son, fine, cool. But like, I didn't care. Her mom likes him. That's great. But otherwise, I didn't care. You know what I mean? It's maybe I'm cynical. It's fine. But anyways, yeah, that is Love is Blind. After the Altar. We're gonna take a quick break here, and when we jump back in, we'll be going into the ultimatum. Patreon, going strong. If you want to go over there and join in on the fun, we got 3 tiers, only Canadian dollars. First tier is $3 a month, where you get these episodes ad free. You also get AMAs once a month, or learn about me episodes once a month. And then on the second tier, which is $5 a month, you get everything from the first tier, as well as coverage of a reality show of yesteryear. That's right now Jersey Shore, currently in season 3. You can also go to the main feed, where there will be the first episode of every season released there, so you can try that before you head over to the Patreon. And then on the third tier, you get everything from the first 2 tiers, as well as coverage from a true crime documentary. We got the backlog of Ashley Madison documentary, Man of 1,000 Kids, Into the Fire, Lacey Peterson, and again, all those episodes for the first episode of each is in the main feed, so you can try that before you head over. So if you are interested, you can head over to patreon.com/realityt times 2, and you can sign up for whichever tier you feel for. Again, you can try before you buy, which basically means you can try any tier for a week before committing to it. Even if you are on other tier, if you are on tier 1 or the first tier and you want to go over to the second tier, you could still try that second tier for a week before committing to the upgrade. So again, that is at patreon.com/realityt times 2. And of course, the link is in the show notes, website, social media accounts. It's all available there. And I'm back. Let's jump in with the ultimatum, episode 1. So we're going to kind of go through the couples as best I can. We have, I believe, 6 people, or 6 couples, I should say. So here we go. We have Jessica Grace, who I don't think she's country, but whatever. And this stupid autocorrect says Adrian, but I think it's Idris, dating for 2 years. She is issuing the ultimatum. They both want kids, but marriage does need to come first. I also want to preface the difference between these two versus pretty much almost everybody else, except for maybe one other couple. Jessica Grace is 35 years old, while Idris is 38. Thank you. Thank you. When you have people who have been together for more than a year, who are in their 30s, this is the point of the ultimatum. Let's continue. We have Casey and David dating for 5 years. She's the issuer, and he has given her 3 promise rings. The fuck? What gets, what is someone supposed to do with 3 promise rings? Y'all, she has them all on one finger. What the hell is going on right now? Can't remember their ages, but I do recall David being in his early 30s. I could be wrong. Then we have Monica and Luke dating 4.5 years. He's issuing. She wants to check boxes off before marriage, which is, what does that even mean? They knew each other for a while, and he thinks that he would die without her. Oh, oh, um, that sounds a little toxic, just to say the least. Now, this shit's gonna piss me off. But I do like her very much. But this is gonna piss me off. Mind you, she's not the issuer, he is. Blake and Haley dating for a whopping 1.5 years. Get the fuck out of here. He's issuing and he's ready, y'all, real ready to be married. And I think he's like 20 something, like 26 or something. She says her emotional needs are not being met. She has expressed this, but nothing has changed. So it sounds to me as if Haley is interested in marriage with a person who can meet her emotional needs, and she's not going to settle for anything less than what she deserves. I see no problem. Good for her. Love her already. I mean, I'm on episode 4, so like I really do like her. But like at this point, I'm like, I like her. She knows what she wants. This isn't like a situation where Monica's like, I want to check off boxes. No, she's like, I want my emotional needs to be met. I am not asking a lot. Like shit. Ashleigh and Killian, love the name Killian, by the way, dating for 4 years. She issued. They have known each other for 14 years. She grew up in the South. It's now or never for her, she says, which is like very typical, I guess, for the Southern girl. But she says at one point he was ready and he actually asked for her hand in marriage. You know, the whole traditional thing that you're supposed to do, right? So now what happened then? If he went through the whole, leaps and bounds to get the, dad's blessing to ask her to marry him, what the heck happened? He explains there was an altercation between him and her dad, and it gave him some pause, which is totally understandable. I think I would not want to jump into something after that either. Huh, more on that later, I'm sure. It's the final night, y'all, so we've met like most of the couples. We do have a couple more that, or at least one more that we're going to be meeting. And it feels like David is shaming her for all of this. So yes, he's 32. So I knew he was. I think she's in her 20s, and he's 32. So yeah, he's kind of shaming her for putting them through this, which is like, but you signed up for it too, my guy. Have you not watched the show before? We're on what, season 4, 5? I don't even know anymore. So Alex and Jebin, y'all. Jesus fucking Christ, this guy. I still hear his laugh, y'all. Okay, he's really young and it shows. He's 23, I believe. He comes across as if he's 15. When he laughs, it's the most annoying thing. He has spoon fed him his entire life and wiped his ass. He gives off that type of personality, let's say that. Um, I do not understand what this woman sees in him and why she wants marriage from this fucking guy. I don't get it. She's young too, don't get me wrong. I think she's maybe a year or two older than him. Um, but she seems to have a good head on her shoulders. She seems very mature for her age. Most women are usually more mature than men, especially at that age. And, you know, I don't get it. Why this guy? Okay. So let's get to them. They've been dating for 6 years. Jevin is 23, as I just mentioned. And again, I'm thinking he's only 23. I'm imagining you're not much younger or older than him. What's the rush? She is the issuer, so I do want to say that. Um, and Jevin says his family doesn't accept her because she's not Indian. Well, that's the red flag. I think we need to skedaddle out of here, personally. It feels very Mama Submit. Anyways, except she's not old. But anyways, or, well, I do believe she's older than him, but not like Jenny old. Anyways, he seems very immature, as I've just mentioned. She's eating fries, and he says, "You want kids, you gotta eat better." D- uh, uh, oh, 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 okay. Okay. So you want to die tonight? That would be my response. I'm like, so you want to die? That's where we're headed to. I'm gonna have to make this look like an accident. Is that what's gonna have to happen? Okay, I guess so. You don't literally say to a woman, "Oh, you better, or you need to be eating better if you want to have kids." First of all, motherfucker, it is, I don't know, proven. I've done my research, but apparently for IUI/IVF, it is perfectly okay to eat some goddamn French fries for reasons. The salt content and all that. But anyways, leave her alone. Let her eat her goddamn fries. It's not gonna hurt her or whatever figurative baby you've created in your head. Like, it's just this. I don't like. What I do love though is she has clearly heard this fuckery before and says, "Okay, Jevin," and he. Oh my god. Oh my god. Oh my god. He responds back with, "Okay, hungry hippo." Well, chomp chomp, motherfucker. He's mm, mm-mm. I don't understand. Why him? Make it make sense. Make it make sense. Okay. So Idris is having some issues with her giving attention to other men. Fair enough. She hasn't cheated and he isn't able to talk to women. More on that later. Um, because I really don't think he could talk to women, but he's more saying that she doesn't allow him to talk to women platonically, much less. So, like, how is this going to work for him? Um, Haley, we find out she's 23. She's very young, but very sweet. So we hear Blake comparing her to a car. Like, what? And this experience to cars? Now, I cannot with this conversation. However, if I am to compare this conversation between cars and calling your girlfriend a hungry hippo, I'll take the cars for about 400, Alex. God. So now it's the next day, it's speed dating time. And as I've mentioned to you about Idris not knowing how to talk to women, my Jesus Lord, is he ever awkward? He tells Haley, "So, is your mom Hispanic? As opposed to what? It has, if you're literally asking a person, "So, is your mom Hispanic?" She's Hispanic. Hispanic? What does that mean? Like extra Hispanic? Like, what does that mean? What does extra Hispanic mean? Like, what? I'm so confused by what he means by his. So, if I'm asked, so is like your parents Jamaican? What does that mean? What does that mean? Are you asking me whether or not my family smokes weed because that's what Jamaicans do? Very weird questioning. But there's a lot more where this came from. It looks like David and Haley are definitely connecting. They are both Hispanic. Let's not get it twisted. Love the little things. They both like seafood. Casey does not like seafood, so they can definitely connect on the seafood of it all. As Haley is going to talk to Killian, Blake is like, "What are you drinking?" To 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 Haley, kind of trying to like intercept her from talking to Killian, I guess. And it's like, okay. But we find out that Killian was born in France. Fun. Like France, France? Like France, France? He was a cheerleader. Wow. Okay. So the fight with the dad, we get a little bit more information. He got the yes, but it was taken away because Ashleigh chose that she didn't want to work for her dad anymore because she does work for the family business. And I guess he thought it was Killian's fault on who, like, he initiated this whole thing, which is like, okay, dad, you can't ask a question. What do you mean? You can't be like, hey, Killian, fucker, are you the reason my daughter no longer wants to work for me? Like, you know what I mean? Instead of just accusing him of doing that. That's very weird. But, anyways, so Ashley is in Vegas and she wants to see a tumbleweed while she's here because, like, that's what you see while in Vegas. And it's like, you could see that in any desert situation. You could go to Arizona and you could potentially see a tumbleweed, or you could go to some parts of California and you could probably find a tumbleweed. You can probably go to Utah and find some tumbleweeds, depending on where you are. There's plenty of places where you can go and find some tumbleweed shit. You probably could find a tumbleweed in, I don't know, Seattle, if you look hard enough, even though it's not desert, but you see what I mean. So Jevin drinks a gallon of milk a day. That's disgusting. That's disgusting. You're disgusting. But he didn't know that he was lactose intolerant. Oh, and he says this to one of the women that he's on a goddamn date with, y'all. He says he was pissing out of his butthole. The fuck? Where did this guy come from? Yeah, he told Ashleigh this, and Ashleigh, like me, is thinking, why am I here? So, yeah, everyone is in their early 20s except Jessica Grace and Idris and David, who are in their 30s. He actually tried to break up with her on New Year's, she said, Jessica Grace said, and she's like, you're not breaking up with me. Oh shit, girl. Get it. Listen. That's how you handle things. When you want what you want, you do not let someone just break up with you. The fuck? No way. You hold that fucker down and say, where the fuck do you think you're actually gonna go? Where are you gonna find better? I'm not saying this from experience or anything, but anyways, she tells Luke, if you shut the plane off and the birds from chirping or something, you can hear them. Oh, got it. Okay. She tells Luke, let me start this over. She tells Luke, if you shut this plane off, because there's like a plane in the distance, and the birds from chirping, you can actually hear my biological clock ticking. Wow, girlfriend. Wow. Oh, David's checking him, I think it was Haley. I don't remember who he was talking to, own a drug testing business. Sorry, I know what I'm saying. David and Casey, they own a drug testing business, so they're pretty intertwined. Listen, the last time we had a couple who owned their own business, it didn't go good. It went really bad. Real bad. Something about a Spotify playlist. It wasn't good. Anyways, um, and she has her helicopter license. Cool, cool, cool. So never at a cocktail party. And Jevin is being annoying again, but he says any girl he marries has to be his new mom because he has been baby his whole life, and this is the problem. You listen, you want your sons to get married. Sure, get it. But here's the thing. If you're going to literally baby your children, this is what happens. They're never going to be married. Anyways, it just is like, I think when people see me for the first time, he is stoned, or they think he's stoned. That's it. That's all. Nothing else. And Leon, maybe he is stoned, who knows? He has cheated before. Good to know. Nothing physical, but it's hard to come back from, which is totally understandable again. So Alex tells Jevin that I'm falling for someone. Oh, so she did say those words. Check back later for why I said this. If you haven't seen the episodes. She's talking about Killian. And she's like, I'm probably matching with him. And that's an interesting choice of words, my girl. How could you be falling in love with someone after, what, a day or two? That's interesting. But more on that later. Haley is still upset that Blake didn't hug her when they walked in the doors, and she's shaking like a leaf while he's laughing with Ashleigh, like she's ready to rumble, like she's pissed. And he thought they were cool. And she says, if you don't have an ounce of jealousy, you don't love me. And she's been begging for the affection, but he's clearly just not getting it. And I say, girlfriend, if you don't just say, leave, get out right now, it's the end of you and me, I don't know what to say. I don't think Blake's it. She could do so well with anyone else. Not these group of men, but yeah, no, she's too good for him. I could say that already after 2 episodes. 1 episode? Technically 4. But anyways, that is basically it for episode 1. We're going to take another break, and when we come back, we'll jump in with the final episode, episode 2. Hi everyone. So I have a new product for you to go take a look at. This is with Pink Salt Wall. So they're a source of pure Himalayan salt. I think we all kind of, have our salt lamps and everything, which I do have. But with them, they offer high quality Himalayan pink salt products that can enhance your environment and help with respiratory and skin issues. Their collection includes Himalayan salt bricks, tiles, building blocks, licking salt blocks for your animals. That sounds interesting. Salt lamps and cooking plates and much more. All their products are shipped directly from their factory in Pakistan and are available locally through their warehouse in Maryland, United States. So, yeah, if you're interested in taking part in that, you can go down to the show notes where you'll see a link to their website through me. So you're supporting them as well as supporting the podcast as well. So if you go to www.pinksaltwall.com/Tanika Thomas, that's all in caps, you can partake in these amazing products and again, support the podcast. Now it's enough of me. Let's head back to the podcast. And I'm back. So we're going to be doing episode 2. So now it's the dating week. So this Jabin, whatever, he's so dumb. He doesn't know what an orc is. I think he's being serious. Or what Moby Dick is. But he's looking for a caretaker, y'all. He basically wants a mother. Because if he's going to get married, he is going to need a mom. Because that's what he gets currently. His only girlfriend has been Alex. He hasn't had a girlfriend prior to this. And he's not taking this seriously because the next question he asks whoever he's on date with is, what do you think is stronger, a bear or a silver-backed gorilla? What? What does that even mean? And he goes on to continue to say, what does it mean to have your face ripped off? It means to have your face ripped off. But he's loving the freedom of not being in a relationship with Alex, loves being on the market again. You're clearly not understanding this process, if that's the things that you're about to say here. And he's like, why wouldn't you want me as a trial husband? Like, he says, why wouldn't you want me as a trial husband? I can think of a million reasons why I don't. And then he says, like, are the axes in axe throwing real? As a person who's done axe throwing, yeah, they're real. Because they bounce back. Yeah, that's what happens sometimes. Like, what happens if they hit you? Do you die? You're usually pretty far enough back that shouldn't happen. And anyways, I need to get out of this world. Meanwhile, with Alex, she's just looking to settle down with Jevin or someone else. She's clearly taking this seriously. She's on the date with Killian now. And doesn't expect a traditional girl. He says he'll cook, he'll clean, like, he'll do those things as well. But the only thing he doesn't like is a girl driving. He feels like, he has to be in the driver's seat. He's the man. So, you know, I'll drive. But I think she is losing me just a little bit when she says something about Courtney and Travis. They were old when it comes to something. I think they were talking about, I'm going to assume either it's marriage or didn't they have kids? Or did she get, I can't remember what happened there, but I think I'm going to assume it's the marriage. And it's like, man, it's fine. She never had that marriage before. Let her have it at her age. My God. She's not ancient. Jesus God. Okay, let's just continue because I can't when you're literally, 25? Anyways, Ashley's on a date with Blake on a boat. He's a Texas boy just like her, and she doesn't know what drives him, and he says, money, like most men. Then we see Haley, who I love, who I've heard that I may not continue to love, on a date with Killian. They're both looking for someone who is emotionally mature and emotionally available and emotionally intelligent. And she says that she feels like she has a ball and chain on her right now. And she feels like Killian is fulfilling her needs in a week that she hasn't gotten in her relationship with Blake, which says a lot about who you're with. Like, how does that even happen? Then she has a date with David. Haley explains, there's something in my relationship that is holding me back from getting married. Basically, she's not going to settle, which I love. But she's a messy one, y'all, because fighting gets her a little hot and bothered. And I said, oh, God, okay. Which, again, I get. I'm human, whatever. But, like, when you know it's a problem, yike. She says a low point in her life was when her stepdad died. And she had to go live with her dad, who wasn't around. Like, she didn't appear to really know him. And David understands because he was also raised by his stepdad. And he showed him how to be a man. His dad didn't do any of that. And he said he was there with his stepdad through a very dark time in his health. I think his stepdad also passed away. So, they're definitely bonded on that. So Casey is on a date with Luke. When she was a kid, she never really got in trouble. She would cry actually when a teacher would yell near her, not at her, but near her. She was a rule follower, which, listen, I can relate. I didn't break rules either. I wasn't a troublemaker. I didn't cry though when teachers yelled around me. Um, but yeah, I definitely was a rule follower. I took my education seriously. Didn't want to wreak havoc on the world. I just wanted to, get through. He admits he was the opposite. He was a class clown. They say like probably wouldn't like each other in school. But then we see Luke on a date with Jessica Grace, and that's basically it. I like Luke though. Luke is decent. Please don't be not decent. I can't handle this. Anyways, the night before the choice now, we are in a group setting and we're playing a little game that is going to cause some drama. Haley and Killian are going to be matching together without even knowing it. Now, Haley and Killian, yeah, I think they do match. Spoiler alert. Um, he says he is going to be picking her, and she's still figuring it out what she's going to be doing, but it would be a good trial marriage if they pick each other. And honestly, I do think Killian was a better choice, and I'll explain a little later. As we know, she's struggling between David and Killian, and then Idris just is like, "Can I talk to you? Can I pull you?" And the thing is, I'm like, well, I remember seeing this, and I'm like, have they even really talking to each other? Like, I don't feel like they're on each other's radar whatsoever. But y'all, it is weird as shit. He's like, "You smell good. What are you wearing? Do you have any moles?" And she's like, why did you pull me again? Which is an amazing answer or question. And he says, I don't know. I just wanted to stare at you. I mentioned this actually to my coworker earlier today as I record because I don't know. I'm like, maybe I'm reading too much into this, but I think like it feels a little icky because he's 38 years old. Haley is 23. I'm grossed out. I'm grossed out. I'm sorry, I just am. There's a 15-year difference here. I'm grossed out. Anyways, Jebin is a prize, y'all. He really is. He thinks he is God's gift to women, okay? So everyone should want to have fun with the prize. Ew. No one is going to talk to him, though, okay? But it's okay. He's got enough information on from his dates. He doesn't need to be talking to nobody else. So I'm just going to hang here with the guys. No, you're literally being shoved into a conversation with the guys because none of the women want to talk to you. Like, none of them. No one actually gives a shit. But then he's gonna hang out with the guys, but y'all, there are actually no guys for him to hang out with because guess what? They're gonna go talk to the girls because that's what you do. Jebin is a loser. He then says, well, I'll just go talk to the bartender. You know what? The bartender talking to the women too. You are a loser. No one wants to talk to you. Moving on. Alex doesn't think that Jebin is taking this experience seriously. I could have told you that. And everyone agrees, and all the ladies agree as well. And, or as I guess I agreed, and all the ladies agreed. He isn't mature, especially seeing how mature Alex actually is in contrast with this relationship she's in. Why would you want to be here with this guy? Anyways, Idris and Jessica Grace are talking, and he's realizing that he isn't letting her express her needs. He is thinking a clean slate is needed for them, but she says, "Are you willing to make those changes to get there?" I think he is asking for her to basically leave with him because again, like they don't have connections outside of this. Maybe she has connections with Luke, but like that's basically it. And she says that she is wanting life with him. It's hard seeing him connect with others. Is he though? Where is he connecting with them? Where is the connecting? Is the connecting in the room with us? Because I do not see him connecting with anyone. And that he finds other women attractive. Well, yeah, that part's true. Yeah. Anyways, again, it's like if you don't want him doing any of those things, ma'am, why are we here again? But then we see Alex with Jevin. Basically, he wants her to eat steak at every meal. Why? She says, I feel like you're not hurting at all, with this whole process. And I get that part too. Could also be a coping mechanism to give him the benefit of the doubt, but maybe I shouldn't do that. She says, my conversations are deep with these guys, and the ladies are saying that you're being jokey. I mean, yeah, he's definitely being jokey, but I feel like, again, who knows? He gaslights her and says, well, are you going to listen to them or me? They don't know me. You know me. What I said, you know what I mean? It's like, no, sir, you said it. Like, it's not gaslighting if it's true. We then see Monica and David talking, and they are definitely thinking they would be a better choice for each other. So there's that. Then it's the choice. We're finally out of y'all. Apparently, though, before we can really dive into the reason that we are here tonight, the night before, Jebin had given Alex a note. Who wrote the note? Jebin did. That she didn't actually get to read because the producers took it from her. Oh, because, they don't know what's in it, so they want to check and see it first. But guess what? Nick and Vanessa have the note, and we are giving her the opportunity to read it out loud. And I believe she says, let's do this, let's read this. So, um, yeah, when I saw this, I'm like, what is happening? My jaw dropped to the ground and I immediately rushed to episode 3. But, yeah, that is it for me. That's the end of episode 2 and that's the end of my episode. So next we'll be doing episode 3, 4, 5, and 6, I believe. But, yeah, until then. That is it for me, and that is it for this episode. If you liked what you heard, bear with me because I have not done an outro for the podcast in quite some time. So bear with me here. So if you liked what you heard, you can go to any of your favorite podcast apps. You can follow, make sure you don't miss a single episode. And you can also rate the podcast at either Apple Podcasts or Spotify. It'd be greatly appreciated. As a reminder, any 5-star ratings that are given to the podcast or any comments that are given to the podcast will be read on the podcast, which I have done in the past. If you want to connect with the podcast through social media, you can find me at Facebook and Instagram at Reality T ×2. You can also find me at Twitter, TikTok, and Blue Sky at Reality ×2 Pod. I believe you can email me at realityt2@hotmail.com, and you can have any inquiries, anything like that, any ideas, any shows or episodes you want me to cover, you can definitely do that over there. And I am going back to our old website, and that is at solo.to/reality T ×2. There you can get any of the links to anything that I didn't mention here, any of the socials, website, email, all of that. It's all there for you. And we also have a new thing there where you can help support the podcast as well. It's called a tip jar. And you could tip whatever your heart's desire if you want to support the podcast, but don't want to necessarily support the podcast in going to Patreon, for example, or any of the links in any of the advertisements. You can do it there. But since we're on the topic of Patreon, you can head on over to patreon.com/reality T ×2, where there you can get access to even more than what I do here. There are 3 different tiers where you can get these shows ad free, as well as our next tier up where you would get another reality show that's being covered. So, we have Jersey Shore that's been getting covered. That's still being covered currently at the time of recording of this outro, but the future is bright with what's to come in the future, which I will be discussing, or I have discussed. I don't even know. And then also our next tier is a true crime tier as well. So you can definitely head over for that. But that is basically it. I will also just quickly mention here too, if you're interested in a different take of a podcast that I'm a part of, where we do things a little differently, you can head on over to Next Take Podcast, where I usually drop bonus episodes here on this feed, but there you get a lot more. And that podcast is making changes. We're growing, doing new things, but you can definitely head on over there if you want to just hear a little bit different than what I do over here. So you can find that podcast over at our website, solo.to/next take podcast. And there we'll have all the links to your desire that will link you to any of your favorite podcast apps or YouTube, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, all of it. Social medias, it's all over there. But of course, you can still find that podcast at any of your favorite podcast apps. But that is it for this episode. We'll see you next time with another episode. Bye, everybody.